Everyone, remain calm.
Yeah, that's how it always starts. And later there's running and screaming.
Somebody talk to me! What is happening?
Welcome to Jurassic World.
You're listening to the Jurassic Park podcast.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow? Hold on to your butts.
Well, we're back.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Jurassic Park podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and we're here to discuss all things Jurassic Park. We have a few things from the news this week, as well as an interview with Tim Lewisohn about his Kickstarter for Savage Empire. We'll also give you our in-depth review of Jurassic World. We've got a ton of news this week, so hold on while we dig deep and bring you news from around the world.
18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research.
Access rate program. Access new security.
These pictures were taken in hospital in Costa Rica 48 hours ago.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look.
I thought my head being right all the time.
Today, I guarantee it.
Are you obsessed with the Jurassic Park River Adventure at Universal Studios? Well, Jake and Dave certainly are. These two set out to get the world record for the River Adventure in a single day, and they did just that. Jake and Dave ended up going around the circuit 60 times, beating their own personal records of 58 and 53. That is certainly an amazing feat for any theme park enthusiast. 12 hours on the same ride, over and over and over until they got that record. Take a listen to the video they posted on YouTube chronicling their day.
58-53. We're on number 1 right now.
Time. The ever-flowing river. Come with us now to a time before now.
I'm ready. I think we're both ready. It's a nice day out in Los Angeles. Approximately 49 more to go, but we're gonna surpass that. That's just our goal. So let's see what happens. 60 times we rode on this ride right here. 60 times.
Congratulations, guys. You'll have to let us know next time you set out to beat that record. You can follow their antics with the hashtag Jurassic Record. If there was any doubt Chris Pratt would return for a sequel after the initial huge first weekend, you can put that to rest. In an article found on JoeBlow.com, they mentioned an article with EW.com where Pratt was asked about a sequel, and he says, "I am. They have me for I think 38 movies or something." Now, obviously that was a little bit of a ruse from Pratt, but I'm sure we can expect him for at least 1 or 2 more sequels. There were certainly a few loose ends that he could tie up in a sequel, but we'd also need to see the likes of B.D. Wong, Bryce Dallas Howard, Jake Johnson, among many others that could possibly return. What do you think about Pratt returning? Are you happy? Or do you think they should move on and get a new cast of characters? Well, I think we can all finally relax after Jurassic World debuts and blows away the competition at the box office. Domestically, Jurassic World obtained $208 million. Worldwide, it accumulated $524 million. Those figures are enough to put it on top of the box office in both categories. We can all rest assured that this movie is a financial success, and it certainly warrants a sequel. Let's hope it gets even a little bit more love and receives a better toy line and maybe some more presence in the parks. Are you surprised by the amount it grossed over the first weekend? Leave a comment in our email or on Twitter, and we can discuss. Have you ever wanted to own a 75 million year old Velociraptor claw? Well, you're in luck. Head to astrogallery.com and you'll find one. The only catch is it's $12,500. That is a hefty price, but if If you're willing to pay, you can own your very own claw. Check out the link in the show notes. Head over to IGN.com and you'll find a complete timeline of Jurassic Park. It starts off with the events at Isla Nublar and ends with the creation of Jurassic World. In between, you'll find steps from Henry Wu and Simon Masrani. It's as complete as you could possibly want and pretty insightful. Find the link in the show notes. With the massive success of Jurassic World, you bet there's already a pre-order for the DVD. On Amazon.com, you'll find the limited edition gift set, which features a Blu-ray 3D, Blu-ray disc, and a digital HD copy. The kicker for this set is the Indominus Rex versus the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is an awesome piece that is worthy of any collector. Head to Amazon to pick up your pre-order. It's only $107.98. Pre-order it now. Let's open up the Visitor Center doors where we'll discuss Savage Empire with guest Tim Lewisohn. Let's welcome in designer, writer, producer, and creator of the new Kickstarter campaign for Savage Empire, Tim Lewisohn. How are you, Tim?
Doing pretty well, Brad. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Now, I just want to start off with a very serious question. So you're trapped in a room with a raptor. Now, do you give up, or do you go out fighting? And if so, what's your weapon of choice?
Well, what room am I trapped in? I mean, regardless, I'm going to go out swinging. I don't want to die on my knees.
Yeah.
But, if I'm trapped in a kitchen, then, I'll just grab whatever's handy. Grab a knife, grab a fork. I mean, raptors in real life, they weren't as big as they show them in the movies. So
yeah,
I think I may have, somewhat of a fighting chance if it's just one. More than one? Well, I hope my insurance is paid up.
Good answer. All right, so I see you've been in and around the gaming industry for, 20 years now?
Yeah, it's my 20th
awesome.
year.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I worked at most of the big places. Electronic Arts is where I first started in the industry. Working on NHL, NBA, Need for Speed, PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn. This is going back a fair amount, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I also worked at Relic. And when I was there, I was actually the gameplay balance producer for Company of Heroes and the Dawn of War series, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, we actually were building these two properties for THQ just before they bought us out.
Wow.
And it was great. Got to build the team from the ground up. Hired these top RTS players, all like much younger than me, and it was great. It's funny because three of them were actually from back east, Ontario and Quebec, and one guy was local. He was from British Columbia, but he'd actually spent the previous year playing professionally StarCraft in South Korea.
Wow. So
I called him up. I'm like, hey, you can come back home. You can still play RTS and get paid for it. And he's like, I'm on the next plane. So,
it's a good deal.
Yeah, totally. So it worked out really, really well. I've also worked at Disney, senior designer on Turok, dinosaur first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
We did the reboot for that in 2008. And I've also worked for a bunch of different places, Capcom, done some work with them, with 2K and Microsoft, Ubisoft as well, and worked on a lot of really different high-profile properties. So it's been a really good run, and I'm, just getting started and taking some of that experience and applying it to Savage Empire.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Savage Empire is about dinosaurs a bit, and so what exactly kindled your love for dinosaurs?
Well, I've always had a thing for dinosaurs, going back to being a child, and when the reading Turok, the actual old comic book, in the 90s, it really spoke to me. In terms of you have this protagonist who's outside of the norm and caught in these crazy situations, who is fighting against this dinosaur backdrop, and at the same time dealing with all these human characterization issues as well, and that was something that really spoke to me. And so the opportunity to, when the opportunity came up to actually work on the game of, of this comic that I've loved, this dinosaur-based comic that I've loved, then, I jumped at it,
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I was all over.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite dinosaur back then?
To be fair, I've always had like a really soft spot for the compy.
Okay.
To be honest, like just like these little guys who look so cute, and then they can do immense amounts of damage when they're like little piranhas, basically on legs. And the power of numbers and seeing them come together, I just think that they're really cool. Everybody loves the raptors and whatnot, and I think Jurassic Park and the movies have had a lot to do with that. But I like the little guys who band together to create something much stronger than themselves.
Yeah, they're definitely little scavengers.
Absolutely, they'll just come in, and if you're not careful, they'll take you down.
Do you think the Lost World handled them well?
It's there are some elements of the Lost World that I would probably go back and change. The copies, they weren't terrible. I guess I was looking for and to be fair, the movies versus real life, but I would be looking for sort of a more realistic depiction of how dinosaurs actually were. And I'm I'll say it now, I'm definitely in the pro feather crowd. Just want to get that out of the way right now so everybody knows. But there's still decent movies. The only part that I really ever had an issue with was watching Dr. Malcolm's daughter do her gymnastics, spin and kick a raptor right through the window.
Yeah, that seems to be everybody's least favorite part.
Yeah, that's when you kind of have to stand up and say, you know what, I don't think that would happen. No. That's just me.
Well, going back to the original Jurassic Park, what was your first experience with that? Were you of the right age just to fall in love with those films, or?
Yes, I was. I was old enough to be able to get in without getting carded, which was nice.
Yeah.
And honestly, like that feel of adventure, like they didn't show you everything right away, and I love that. I love the tease. And just sort of draw. Okay, you see little bits here and there, but for me, the big reveal, seeing all of and not just the predators, but the herbivores as well, and that one big reveal out in the field as they're all running together, and it was amazing. It was what I'd always seen in my head when I'd imagined being around, dinosaurs, but it was right there on screen. And I think that something that really went a long way in making it feel more realistic was they weren't relying on tons of CG. They were actually building out the animatronics. Like it made such a difference in terms of having a tactile, real experience on screen. I really appreciated that. I think that was Stan Winston who did that, right?
What's that?
Was it Stan Winston who?
Yeah, he was the guy who did all the practical effects back then.
Yeah, no, it was really well done.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite scene or characters or anything like that? Or?
So obviously, I'm a writer, so I love snark. So Dr. Malcolm was right up my alley.
Of course.
But I like the kids as well, and it's funny because usually, kids in movies like this where they're getting thrown in danger and whatnot, you're actually rooting for whatever happens to be chasing them.
Yeah.
Just to get them off screen, but not in this case. Found them really endearing. And the one scene where they're trapped in the truck, and the T-Rex is basically trying to get at them, and it's the look of terror on their faces. It wasn't cheesy. It felt real. And I think that was like the key thread that permeates the whole film, is that this feels like what I think it would feel like. And, whether it's actually realistic or not, go for the movies is something that's going to take you to a place where you're coming away with a new experience. And man, it gave me that and more.
Awesome. Yeah. Now let's bring it back to your thing that you're doing here with Savage Empire. You've got a Kickstarter going, and how's that going so far?
Pretty good, actually. Just got 4 more backers today, which is great.
Nice.
We're at the 62% mark, and we have 2 weeks to go. So today marks the 14-day countdown. So we're really looking to push forward and get this thing funded. When I first put the story together, it started out originally as a game and then expanded to something that I felt was even stronger as a sort of a graphic novel one-shot. Not that I'd ever turned down the chance to bring it, to the gaming space, but after, writing and producing the original 8-page prologue earlier this year with my team, and that's included as part of the Kickstarter reward tiers. But after putting that together, we just knew that we were on the right track. It just felt right. I actually showed it to some more established writers, guys like Gary Ritta. He's the guy who wrote Book of Eli and After Earth and the Star Wars. Rogue
One, right?
Rogue One, yeah. So showed it to him, and he's like, "You have to get this out there. I will write a pull quote." And I was like, "Great."
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of lets you know that you're on the right track. So
yeah, that's an awesome endorsement.
Totally, yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
Now, this story seems to encapsulate a bunch of my favorite genres. Like, it looks like it's apocalyptic. It has time travel elements and obviously contains dinosaurs. What got you to that point with all those elements combined?
Well, I'm a big sci-fi fan, always have been, and not, I like having my stuff grounded, but I also like the humor aspect as well. Read a lot of Douglas Adams, Steve Maretsky, but for me, the science fiction portion had to be, it had to make sense. And if it's going to be, time travel is going to be involved, this is a fantastic idea, but it has to make sense within the confines of the story. So, the way that I laid it out, you're thinking of Jurassic World meets Black Hawk Down, where you have, government doing experiments with time travel, moving from theoretical work to more tangible, weaponized forms. Of course, government being what they are, they choose the wrong place to do that, in Southern California, and accidentally trigger the big one along the San Andreas Fault. So when you think about it, here's this massive event that's now taken place, millions killed, more injured and missing, and now you have sort of this large chunk of the California coastline that's just hanging onto the mainland by a thread. So here's the situation now. You have all these political things to deal with. You have humanitarian issues to deal with. And behind that sort of thin red line of danger, you now have these time travel portals, which are now opening up willy-nilly and allowing dinosaurs from the different timelines to come roaring through. And they're terrorizing all these people behind this zone. So you have governments who are doing their utmost to suppress any kind of information coming out of there. They want to send in a unit to, retrieve any data and evidence they can to sort of, save their own bacon. And that unit disappears. And so now it's what happened, right? And it's not like you just send in anybody. So the officials are now panicking, and they send in the cutting edge of operators, led by this woman named Reka Gray. And you'll see her picture actually up on Kickstarter near the top. She leads a small team, has a reputation of getting things done by any means necessary. It's not black ops, it's not white ops, it's gray ops. It's as gray as it gets. This mission is different. She has a mercenary, a guy known as Reeves, who's been assigned to her team, and he's one of those guys who finds those who do not want to be found. And it's great. She doesn't want to be used as a handler. They've got competing agendas going on, and it threatens to break the mission apart as they go behind the red line. So you now have these, human issues that are now coming together within this small group. Within, all of this stuff is now happening in real time. I'm not telling a story 3 weeks after the event. This is all happening just hours afterwards. So it's crazy, and it's pretty nuts. Just exactly how the story ends up going.
Yeah. I love the look of it already so far. From the few things you have there on the Kickstarter page, it just looks awesome.
Thank you. That's I can't even really take any credit for that, other than providing some creative direction. I'm working with this amazing artist, a guy named Jim Jimenez, and he takes my scripts and then he comes up with some pencils and says, "Is this what you want?" And I'm like, "I didn't even know that I wanted that, but I want that." And he just goes from there and makes some amazing pencils and inks, and the stuff just jumps off the page.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I was trying to go through some influences in my head of things that maybe you were inspired by, and I came upon something. I remembered Dinosaurs Attack. Do you ever remember that?
Vaguely, yeah.
It was the little trading cards, and they just had dinosaurs attacking humans and different buildings and places and stuff. Yeah. And that really reminded me of the story you got going on here.
Taking the element of sort of dinosaurs and putting them in, more of a present day scenario, I think is something that most people can relate to as being pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember those trading cards as being pretty brutal and scary back when I was a kid. I think they came out in the late 80s, and it just had images of like pterodactyls spearing humans, and same thing with triceratops horns and stuff like that. And I noticed a few what seemed to be influences in the artwork there. And one of the images I really loved was, I'm assuming it's a raptor. It looked like it was on fire.
Yes.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so the backdrop for that particular panel, if you want some context, is you actually have a triceratops in that area, and they're down in Los Angeles, Second Amendment rights. People got their guns, and this guy is shooting at the trike, and a bullet just happens to glance off and hit a gas can, which is right by where a pack of raptors are. Sets them on fire. They're freaking out, jumping, and they end up jumping on this guy and crushing him through the hood. And literally, that whole sequence, when you see it there in the black and white of Jim's pencils and inks, it's crazy. It looked really, really good.
Yeah, it looked impressive. I can't wait to see it with some color on it. It's going to be awesome.
If you take a look at some of the other panels where they're fighting inside the store, if you're not careful, you might gloss over at first where they're actually ripping like the guy's arm off.
Yeah, I think I saw that. It looked like it was just chomping on the one guy's arm.
Yeah, it's just going to pull this off here. And the thing I love about how the artist turned out, especially with Michael Suberdiga's colors, is that it's bright. It is colorful, but it is also a story that is very raw and very stark. Like, I'm not pulling any punches here, with the storyline or with the art. And, you can have something that looks good, that looks engaging, and is also, can be very, very brutal at times. So that's it's an edge that we're riding, and I think that we're hitting it between the colors and the inks and the script.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed you revealed some sort of artwork, and it was called Pacific Coast Highway.
I'm sorry?
You revealed the Pacific Coast Highway artwork.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, just before we started this interview, we literally just hit the achievement for that stretch goal today. So locked the.
Did I lose you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Okay. Okay. So, sorry, like I was saying, we just unlocked the Pacific Coast Highway stretch goal, got 5 achievements, actually hit 6 achievements, so we overshot it, which is nice. And so that mobile and desktop wallpaper will be released for all backers at the end of the campaign. So I'm pretty happy.
Awesome. It's pretty stark image with the volcano in the background. It's obviously apocalyptic, and you see, I believe there were some people walking, and off in the distance it looks like some brachiosaurus just strolling on the coast.
You nailed it. You got them all. Yeah. High resolution, multiple resolutions, and size for Android and iOS as well. So everybody's covered.
That's awesome. And I know you mentioned it before, but you're all about the feathers and stuff on dinosaurs. I was wondering where you guys got your depictions from, how you just came across those designs.
So I've been working really closely with a good friend of mine, a guy named Daryl Mandrick, and we worked together on Turok at Disney. And he's one of the top concept and cover artists in the world. Does a lot of work for Dark Horse, Star Wars, Conan, and he's also done a lot of games work as well. Def Jam, SSX, Shadows of Mordor. He's in very, very high demand, and I'm very, very lucky that we actually get along. And he's a huge dinosaur fan as well. So he's had tons of sketches from stuff that we worked on back in the day, and new sketches as well. Just the two of us, sitting down in a coffee shop and just shooting the breeze and saying, well, what about this, and what about this, and how would this environment affect how dinosaurs adapt. But the core thing that we always came back to was there needs to be a greater representation of what we now know as what dinosaurs really were, which is, more feathers. And we're not saying you have to go like full on, covered, completely covered.
Yeah.
But, like I said before, when I was talking about, Jurassic Park, there's something about, about the Lost World, about having a more realistic depiction. We know what's been put out there. Now let's try something that's a little more in line with what we know actually happened. So that's, we work on tons of concept art, and you'll see actually some of that in the digital art book reward tier that we're offering for the Savage Empire Kickstarter for certain levels, where, tons of concepts, characters, different artists taking on this IP and providing their interpretation, and feathered dinosaurs are part and parcel. Can't get away from it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I really like the design so far, the few ones I've seen so far. So,
thanks.
Now, I got to get back to it. Have you seen Jurassic World yet?
I'm taking the kids actually this Saturday. I wasn't going to go last week because I knew it was going to be a madhouse.
Oh yeah,
and it's been killing me because I've been trying to avoid spoilers, left, right, and center. I'm involved with a lot of Jurassic Park themed Twitter accounts and Facebook, so I've been kind of avoiding things as much as possible.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's great! I've seen it 8 times, and I'm just like, I haven't even seen it once. But we're going on Saturday. It'll have calmed down a little bit, I hope, and I'll be able to take my 3 boys and go check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I know it's probably tough to avoid those spoilers because once the movie's released, they just end up opening the floodgates and showing you all kinds of images and things that you didn't see before in any of the trailers.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and it's been so successful too. Like obviously they want to get even more people, excited about it. I mean, I was already excited about it, and obviously, it was, we're going to go, but you still want to go in with, a little bit of a blank slate, as much as possible. So we'll see. I've got another 24 hours to go, and then we'll see when we'll get in there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I won't dig too deep into it. But I definitely see some sort of parallels between Savage Empire and Jurassic World in the way that they can go in the future. So I guess keep your eye out when you're watching it.
Oh, I'll be paying attention, and if we can get some parallels on the backing side, the funding side as well, I wouldn't mind.
Oh yeah. Now, since you can't. Rank Jurassic World, where do you rank the other films? The other 3?
I would probably say the first one, then Lost World, and Jurassic Park 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I don't know, I've been finding a lot of hate for the second and third film recently, so yeah, it's tough.
Really? It's not that I hate them per se. I just really feel like, okay, nothing is going to match that first time, like I described before, of just that wonder and that reveal, and the elements of it almost felt like in Jurassic Park 2 they were trying to shoehorn too much of the extra characterizations in there. Okay, he's bringing his daughter, and they don't get along and whatnot, and some of these tropes that it's like, okay, I get it, but I don't think this movie actually needs it, and for me that's why we dropped Jurassic Park 2 to the bottom. But that's okay because we've got Jurassic World and everything is better now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of people keep saying they're retconning the second and third movie, but I think if they're just on the side, so they're not really erasing them. They're just pushing them off to the side and continuing the storyline from the first movie. So I think you'll be happy with it, definitely.
There's something to be said about creating, a larger universe when you're world building that can actually support different stories that aren't necessarily connected, but are connected at a higher level in terms of taking place like in the same universe. You see that with Star Wars. You see that with The Walking Dead. We're doing a lot of world building with Savage Empire where, just because this 64-page one-shot for the Kickstarter is telling an encapsulated story that doesn't mean that there aren't other stories that can't be told from inside the zone based on this, amazing dinosaur backdrop. So, having, Jurassic World be its own thing, but part of the larger Jurassic universe, I think that's cool, and I think that's really strong for the franchise going forward.
Yeah. And you hit it right on the nose, and especially Walking Dead, they've got their own timeline, but now it's probably coming out soon, the Fear the Walking Dead, so it's a completely separate storyline in the same world. So
yeah.
So you can see something like that for Savage Empire in the future?
Hey, all things being equal, let's get this thing funded first, and then I'd love to be able to take it to that next level and get that Walking Dead thing going. But I'm really looking forward to Fear the Walking Dead. My younger brother, he's actually on it. He's a stunt man. Does a lot of work for Arrow and Deadpool and a lot of productions here in Vancouver, and he's been doing Fear the Walking Dead, and he won't tell me anything, which is very maddening. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. So to entice people to support your cause here, what type of rewards do you got going for them?
Sure. Well, I really encourage people to come around and go to Kickstarter.com and look up Savage Empire and look at the pictures of the rewards there. But I'd be happy to talk about the stuff that we have.
I saw you have digital copies, character cards, T-shirts. A few of my favorites were you could name a character and get eaten by a character.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Funny there's 8 rewards of that particular tier, and 3 of them got snapped up like almost immediately.
Oh wow!
Like at $500 a piece, it was great. You can name a character in the book. We'll work together to create something suitable. So they're not naming him Slackjaw McGee or whatever it is, but. And I will actually make sure that character is fleshed out properly. It's not just going to appear on one page and then, one panel and then get eaten the next.
Oh.
And, flesh them out and then eaten by the dinosaur of your choice. Like, seriously, what could be better?
And a lot of people
have jumped on that. But we get other rewards as well. The 8-page prologue that we finished earlier this year. Digital has no DRM on it. And the physical version, obviously, that we have softcover and hardcover. The 64-page full book. So that's what the Kickstarter pledge would actually be backing. My team will take the finished script and we'll provide a one-shot storyline that brings everything that I've been talking about so far into your hands. We have an art book, digital and physical, which contains these amazing sketches, concept art, character and environmental pieces from all these different artists, providing their take on Savage Empire. And you remember the old school cards on the back of the G.I. Joe and Transformer boxes, G1 back in the day? Yeah, so we've got something similar, digital and physical. We made a few for the characters in Savage Empire because, I like that kind of stuff, and it's pretty cool. And Daryl Mandrick, the concept artist that I spoke about before, he's actually creating a limited edition variant cover for certain tiers. And this is a Kickstarter exclusive. So once the campaign ends, this cover version it's going to get sunsetted. It won't be available even when the book goes for sale afterwards. Nice. You can only get it during this Kickstarter. Tons of T-shirts. Yeah. We have 6 different T-shirts designs. Our artists will do character commissions, producer credits, and also we introduced this one new backer reward, and this is for all backers, not just the higher tiers. I don't know if you've heard of a game called Darkest Dungeon, but
no, I don't think I have.
Sorry. It's an RPG. It was successfully funded by another Vancouver studio here. They went on Kickstarter, and it's funded. It's out on Steam. It's awesome, and it has this really distinctive art style. And the creative director just happens to be a friend of mine from Disney, a guy named Chris Barassa. So he's actually going to take the characters and some dinosaurs from Savage Empire and render them in brand new Kickstarter exclusive artwork in the Darkest Dungeon style. So I really encourage people, after they check out the Kickstarter for Savage Empire, to go over to darkestdungeon.com and take a look at Chris's style. It's really distinctive. It looks really, really cool, and I'm really happy that he came aboard.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you got some awesome rewards. You got a really good graphic novel here, so everybody should be completely interested in it. And that about wraps it up on our side, unless you have anything else to add.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody about it. I've really wanted to tell the story of Savage Empire for years. Not just for myself, but it's also a tribute to, a lot of great friends that I've made throughout the years, and a homage to a lot of the really great artists, that have inspired me since I was a kid, first falling in love with dinosaurs. So really this volume is just as much for them as it is for me, and it is for you, the backers. So thanks for the opportunity, and I really hope, everybody can come to Kickstarter and check out Savage Empire and help us reach our goals.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Tim, and we definitely wish you all the luck in reaching your goal, and we definitely can't wait to open up Savage Empire and just breeze through it. You can find the Kickstarter campaign by going to Kickstarter.com and searching for Savage Empire. Tim, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at VancouverTim, and you can also find me on Facebook at Likes to Fight Studios. So Twitter at VancouverTim, and on Facebook, Likes to Fight Studios.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining us, and make sure everybody goes out there and supports the final 2 weeks of this campaign.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate the time.
No problem.
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica.
We've made living attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
We have a new attraction.
She's bigger than the T-Rex. Probably not a good idea.
Oh, God. We have an asset out of containment. Everyone, remain calm.
Evacuate the island.
All right, I'm here again with Dan Karan, and this time we're here to discuss our film review of Jurassic World. Now, we'll probably just breeze through some quick reviews real quick, and then get into the deep stuff in the spoiler section. So, what did you think of the movie?
Overall, I think it was awesome. I set some pretty high expectations for the movie going into it, and surprisingly, this movie actually exceeded them all. There were definitely, a few things here and there that I think could have been done a little bit better, from a plot aspect and a character aspect in some cases, but it was overall fantastic. The park was exactly what I expected to see. It not to get too far into it, but it seemed like it was a little bit modern. Probably a little ahead of our technology today, but it does. I don't feel like that takes away from the overall feel of the movie at all. But the characters were great. I think that the cast was a bit underwhelming. I think overall they did a great job, but the cohesiveness between the characters just didn't seem like it was necessarily all there, compared to some of the earlier movies, especially the first and the second. Those characters were just so connected, it seemed. And the other, the dinosaurs in this film, actually looked really awesome. I saw a couple trailers from, early on, and I was kind of thinking they looked a little fake. There are certain aspects in the trailers too. You definitely see Chris Pratt's guyliner in a few of them there, but it looks like they retouched a lot of these things and it made it look awesome. So I was definitely not disappointed with the CGI or anything. Everything looked pretty great to me. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't want to get too far into the details there, but I think overall, to two thumbs up.
Okay, 2. I'll give it 2 thumbs up too. That's all I've got. If I had more, I'd give it. But I absolutely love the movie. So I don't want to tread too much on what you said, but yeah, I thought a lot of the same things. I thought the park looked amazing. I thought the dinosaurs looked amazing. I wish maybe they used a few more practical dinosaurs. I believe there's only one one practical dinosaur. But they looked beautiful otherwise. I thought the characters were great. I know you had some issues with them, but overall, stuff like that doesn't really bother me. So overall, I thought they were awesome. They definitely exceeded my expectations, I guess, because I thought a few of them would be dull, but overall, I thought they were great. But yeah, I thought the soundtrack really blended well with the movie. The mix of
soundtrack was awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. And I think the movie really touched upon things that I wanted it to. It went where I wanted it to go. It did what I wanted it to do, and I was happy with it. And yeah, so I don't know. There's not really much we can discuss without getting into too many spoilers. So you want to just get into it?
Let's go.
All right. We are now entering the section where spoilers will be discussed. I suggest you stop what you're doing and leave now.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but I really loved the intro to the movie. I thought the cracking of the eggs, it was reminiscent of things we've seen before, but it definitely took it in a different direction, and it was thrilling enough. It wasn't as fast-paced and original as Jurassic Park 1, but it was definitely memorable.
Yeah, what I actually loved about it was the foreshadowing to the scene where they're talking about how the Indominus Rex actually eats its sibling, right? And with the 2 eggs sitting there, that's the other sibling, and that that was the stronger dinosaur. So I think it was an awesome beginning, especially when you kind of look back at it. It may
really
not
have a lot of value at the moment, but when you look back, it definitely it's awesome. So I think
your initial reaction is really thinking about the raptor scene, when they're hatching in Grant's hands.
Yeah.
Push. I think that that's your initial reaction looking at it, but later on it actually means a lot more, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. One thing later on in the advertising, the trailer started to give away a lot, and that was I think in the final trailer, they released the final trailer was intercut with scenes throughout the movie, and then that intro scene. So you did see that opening of the egg, which was maybe a little bit disappointing through a marketing standpoint. I think I loved all the trailers they put out, but once I saw the movie, I was kind of disappointed that so much was given away.
A lot was given away, and I think a lot of the plot line was given away too.
Yeah.
Where you could almost predict, just looking at the trailer, exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's Jurassic World 2. Things are going to go wrong. So,
there's expectations as to what will happen, but I think the trailers gave away too much as to
I agree with you there.
What definitely happens. And I knew there would be a few things here and there that we'd be surprised at. And but they were few and far between, really. I think one of the aspects, since I loved the character of Simon Masrani, he was awesome. He was hilarious. He had awesome one-liners here and there. He's not the greatest helicopter pilot, as we've learned. But one of the things that I hated about the trailers after watching the movie was, in the trailer, you see the helicopter go down in flames and explode, sending the Indominus Rex, throughout the park. And as he got into that helicopter in the final moments, I was like,
that's the first thing you're thinking.
Here it comes. He's dead. That's happening.
Yep.
So that was a foreshadowing that I was like, oh, why'd they have to throw that in there? Another one was, I mean, the ACU, the Asset Containment Unit. I mean, you have to kind of expect something bad's going to happen when they send a bunch of guys with guns out to obtain a dinosaur. You know it's not going to work out the way you'd intend. So, but I still kind of wish they didn't show the dropping of the blood on the guy's hand, and then you see in the trailer him getting thrown up in the air and just ripped apart. So I feel like things like that, the trailers maybe took a little bit too far.
Yeah. I think they did definitely give away quite a bit of really the movie. You know, like it was almost less of a trailer and it was like a short film. It seems like, you know what I mean? They just gave away quite a bit that you kind of wish you could kind of save for the actual feature.
You knew the movie would go there. We heard a lot of Jurassic 4 talk in the years prior about turning dinosaurs into weapons. And a lot of people hoped, oh, please, don't do that. And the movie did it. It definitely did.
I was one of those people.
But
I
think, in my perspective, it did it in a way where it was believable and not too over the top. You know, I could see them throwing gear, like a headgear piece onto a raptor or even some other animal for that matter. If you think about it now, I mean, they throw, Marines into a battlefield with a camera on the side of their helmet, and you can see every aspect of what they're doing. So why is that any different for, say, as ridiculous as it sounds, throwing a raptor into a battlefield? Like, the gear that was on its head, like, that concept, throwing a raptor into a battlefield, is absurd, but the way they did it in the movie, I thought was really cool.
Now, that's where I almost disagree, because that's part of the movie where I was not thrilled. I mean, I agree with you, it didn't really go too far to a point where it was like, really affecting me and my feeling of, like the rest of the movie, I guess, and everything else that was going on. But honestly, I don't see how throwing raptors into a battlefield is nearly as effective as some of the freaking technology we got going on right now. Like, let's stick to the drone strikes, I guess, and not throw the raptors out there. That sounds way more risky.
Yeah, because the character
about
Hoskins, he just compares the way we fight wars now, and
as if it were like man-to-man contact. Like,
yeah, he says this is all old technology. Why are we all using this still? When we can throw a raptor in there, and he can be faster, more agile, and more brutal when it comes to taking out the enemy. And I think they also intended to use just more and more Indominus Rexes out there. And I mean, if you want to...
Peace, love, and happiness, guys. Peace, love, and happiness.
yeah. But in the eyes of InGen, I guess there's not a lot of peace, love, and happiness. So they'd rather send in a team of Indominus Rexes to basically just demolish whatever their target is, instead of a drone, I guess. I mean, you're right. It doesn't sound so logical, but that didn't happen in the movie. So, at least for now, until maybe a sequel, I don't know. But we don't have to worry about that for now. I think the way though that they utilized them in this movie by, they did release the Indominus, I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, the way they did it didn't really affect me nearly as much as I thought it would. Like, I thought I was going to look at it and be like, oh, God, come on, really? But
I
it was actually
you kind of elbowed me and said, here's where I get off.
Yeah.
But I really think it pulled through, and I don't know, the way they filmed that sequence, if you were off board at that moment, I think you'd get back on, because the camera work where it was so low to the ground, the raptors were so low, and the switching back and forth between the POV of the raptor and the shot from behind them and then the shot from in front of them, and watching them cut in and out of trees, up and over fallen trees, and just watching them ride next to the motorcycle with Chris Pratt.
It was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. I was so pumped at that moment. And the music, God, it was awesome. I can't get over it.
I mean, it was definitely intense. My problem is I'm just wondering what happens next time I watch it, and I'm hoping it doesn't take away from it. Watching it 50 billion times like I do the other movies. But
I don't know. It's a good question. I think I'll be fine. Since I really didn't have a problem with it. I thought it would go much farther than that, and if they do sequels, it may go too far. But for now, I'm perfectly fine with the way they took it for now. So, let's see. Going back, we should probably rewind. We get so far ahead of ourselves, I guess. There's a few Easter eggs. I don't want to go too far because maybe we could do a whole nother podcast on the Easter eggs. But there was a few in here that I liked a lot. One specifically was in the visitor center. I don't know if you remember. There was a scene. Well, the whole scene actually kind of was just exploring the visitor center and different things like that. But the way they filmed this one sequence where there's like a little girl, I believe, she's just dusting off some dinosaur bones, and the way the camera starts up above the shot and twists its way out, it was a complete copy of, what is it, the second sequence in Jurassic Park, where Grant and Dr. Sattler are
they're in the Badlands.
Dig there, yeah. It's an exact copy of that sequence, even though it's only 2 or 3 seconds long. It made me smile so hard.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie made to cater for the people who really grew up and loved grew up with and loved the first Jurassic Park, because there were so many nostalgic moments that really had me smiling ear to ear. It was awesome.
Yeah, when the theme, the old theme comes in, and I believe it was like halfway through them coming to the island, and you hear the theme start over, and I think it really came into fruition when Gray, the youngest child, he bursts through the doors of his hotel room, and what does he say? He says something about he doesn't want to wait anymore, and he just bursts through the doors, and you see the full park. And I kind of felt that same way. I was like listening to the old theme, and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to see this park fully in action. And he basically spoke my words, opened the door, and you got the full shot of everything. And man, I that left me like kind of speechless. I don't know if you felt the same way, but it was awesome.
So, what did you think about the park? I mean, it was pretty. It was a pretty modern park. There were a lot of things that I felt were, kind of beyond our ability
I
today.
guess. I don't know. I mean, let's take a look at some of them. So, there's a monorail. Monorail has been in existence for a long time now, so that's fine.
Okay, no big deal.
That's easy.
Find me a gyroscope.
This is all aside from dinosaurs being made. So we'll leave that off to the side for now. But you said the gyrosphere?
Yeah, find me a gyrosphere.
Gyrosphere.
Did I say scope? Gyroscope?
Gyrosphere.
Did I say scope?
I don't know.
Yeah, gyrosphere.
That, I think, I'm not exactly sure if that would work physically or not, but I know they built a pretty practical version of it. I don't believe it was containing glass, so that was probably a big problem. But I don't know. I didn't have a hard enough time believing it would be real.
Yeah, no, it seems pretty sweet though.
I feel like if you have some sort of working gyrosphere in the middle that is controlled by a lever, I could see it working. I mean, it doesn't sound out of the ordinary, and compared to some of the other things, I'm willing to believe it's okay.
I just can't wait to drive them, because someone's going to make that now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. As soon as Star Wars revealed BB-8, the little mini rolling droid, I think a lot of people started to try to recreate their own and wanted to see a fully functioning droid. And the crazy thing about that droid is it's real. You see that thing streaking across in the movie. It really did that. And I was just left speechless when I saw that thing roll out on stage at their Star Wars celebration. Not under any wires or it just rolled out. So I imagine we could get something like that in the near future, because that thing I think is just controlled by a iPhone or iPad or something. Because now you can buy your own little tiny balls that you can control with your phone. So if they can create that technology, all they need to do is just expand upon it, and now you've got your own sit-in gyrosphere, and you're roaming around dinosaurs.
I can't wait. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But there were definitely a lot of like holograms and whatnot too, which was kind of cool.
It was awesome, and I guess you could think that maybe is a little far, but I've seen Tupac and Elvis on stage, so they seem real enough, right? I mean, Michael Jackson was there, right? He was on stage once recently, so maybe it's not too much different than that. But it definitely seemed super futuristic with its aspects. But I think if you like kind of sit back, you're like, well, actually, I think we could do a lot of these things. Maybe not.
Yeah, it doesn't take away from anything.
Way, but it could be possible.
It seems like it's all fairly plausible still, even in today's day. But
I wonder how much looking back on the touch screens in the old Ford trucks from the first movie, was that the interactive CD-ROM. That seemed kind of futuristic, maybe. I don't know. Unix, I don't know.
Yeah.
She was the only one who knew it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe those things were futuristic back then. I mean, I guess if I had seen an electric car riding on a rail, I would have thought that was pretty awesome, you know?
Unix is like an operating system, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a real one.
Yeah, a real one, yeah. I don't know if it ever looked like that, but...
yeah, true.
I definitely downloaded a version of it for my computer.
Even in the third movie, when... they're taking that 3D model of the Velociraptor vocal canal or whatever.
Yeah.
I have no clue if 3D printing was a real idea back then, but it sure is now.
I would assume it must have been pretty like a real idea. It was. I mean, they had not that kind of 3D printing, like home 3D printing, but there was giant machines that can carve you things. So I don't think it was that out of the realm of possibility. But now. We all you could have one sitting on your desk right now, and that's essentially what they had in that movie. Was like a small prototype of 3D modeling, imaging software that printed out the vocal harmonizer or the resonating chamber of a Velociraptor.
Yeah.
So I guess we can definitely say that Jurassic Park has been ahead of its time each time. So
absolutely.
That's pretty good to see the trend continuing. What did you think about the use of the T-Rex?
I was sad. I was so sad. I mean, it was awesome to see her again. She was always the hero, when you look back on it. But man, she gets her ass kicked, and I thought she was going down.
Yeah,
I really did.
Yeah, you and me both.
And I almost shed a tear. I don't know how a dinosaur movie.
Yeah, I felt my heart drop when when she was over on her side and Indominus Rex he or she went down to take that final bite. I thought it actually happened. And you're right. I was near tears. I was like, how can they kill off? We've been waiting 22 years to see this thing, and they're just gonna kill her?
Yeah, I was wondering the whole time, like, if they do this, like, everyone's gonna hate this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know the Indominus Rex is, like, you know, the killing machine, but come on, you know, like, you can't destroy that idea that you planted, you know, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know, but I believe there was some backlash back in Jurassic Park 3 when the Spinosaurus took out a T-Rex.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can you, basically the same thing you just said, how can you kill off what we were so afraid of? You know, now we have no reason to be afraid of it. But the thing is, that was a different island, and maybe it could have been one of the two Rexes from, you know, that pushed the trailer over the edge. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think there's any proof of that, but, you know, it could have been. But then again, I don't really feel the same feeling for those Rexes as I do for the Nublar Rex.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I never really thought of it that way, though, with the Spinosaurus that took them out.
Yeah, you know, it kind of just pretty much obliterated the T-Rex, and people were upset about that. But this one, if Indominus had taken her out, I would have had to stand up and like leave the theater, because that would have been too much. Like, there's no way to come back from that, because if she did kill her, there's no way to kill the Indominus and be okay with it, like, and be happy.
Yeah, no, there was no way. Like, that's what I kept thinking when it was happening. I was like, there's no way to come back from this. There's no way this is how this is going to happen.
Yeah,
and if it did,
feel
like,
that way the rest of the movie, and probably every time you watch it after that.
Yeah, that was a tough part. But the other time in this film where I actually, you know, was tugging at my heartstrings was with the.
Was it the Apatosaurus or something?
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
God.
You know, it escaped my that scene. That one had me going a little bit.
I know, and that was the one practical effect dinosaur that they used. So that whole neck and head that you see bobbing and swerving in the grass, like, that was their version of the Triceratops scene from the first movie. I definitely felt super sad at that Apatosaurus. It was so sentimental. The music was sad, and the look in her eye, which I was glad they fixed up, because it looked super fake in the trailers. The eye itself, but it looked great, I thought, in the movie, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, I think they went a long way to fix a lot of different effects in this movie. One being the eye, and then because it was like super blue, right? It just
was
looked
really
like
blue,
super
glossy looking.
Yeah, and then Chris Pratt's eyes. they just fixed a lot of eyes in this film.
Yeah, I think they did a good job touching pretty much everything up, because from the first trailer we saw, everybody was freaking out, saying, how do you go backwards? How do you make this movie look worse than the first one?
Yeah.
And people just needed to relax and let them do their work, because that was an unfinished product, and now it's finished, and I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I had no problems with it.
No. I thought the Raptors looked amazing. I thought the Indominus looked amazing. Everything was believable enough, and I know, like, people say stop using CGI, stop, use more practical, but I think it looked fantastic. So
yeah, I thought it looked fine.
Yeah. What about the characters? Is there any characters or choices made with the characters, or anything that you liked or hated?
I think Chris Pratt did awesome. I know there's been a lot of criticism on how he was kind of like a know-it-all right away, not even really having to assess the situation, but I think he was awesome. I think his character was really supposed kind of built that way. When it comes to Bryce Dallas Howard, I was kind of less impressed by her character. I don't know if it's more because of the character or her acting. But I know, that character was really kind of supposed to be a little bit more cold. I don't really want to say heartless, but kind of that too. At least in the beginning. Yeah. But she kind of seemed like she was more of like the least cohesive part of the cast.
Those points that you pointed out, I don't think they're flaws. I just think, and a lot of people are criticizing the same things. I just think it's the way the characters are supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chris Pratt is supposed to be, I think, a Navy SEAL. I guess I don't know if he was a SEAL, but he says Navy man. I think so. He's supposed to know how to assess situations and know what to do. And if he's in the military, sure, he knows how to ride a motorcycle or how to use a gun or how to do this and that. And Bryce Dallas Howard, I thought, yeah, her character is supposed to be cold, but at the same time strong because she's running a company. She's not a weak character. So all the people that are criticizing the movie for being sexist or against women or anything, I think their argument is a little flawed because, first enough, she's strong enough to run around in high heels the entire movie, which is crazy awesome. I don't know how she did that, but I mean, she's running a major theme park and something that's beyond anything. She's basically the head of the show at Jurassic World, aside from the owner. So I don't really see too much in the way of flaws in that viewpoint. But yeah, she's definitely cold because she doesn't even interact really with her nephews. She doesn't really know their not their names, their ages and where they are in the park. So she's definitely a flawed character in itself.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I'm not really necessarily feeling that same mesh because, the other movies really everyone was so cohesive and it just seemed like such a wholesome cast. This one just seemed a bit underwhelming. I mean, I think the kids did awesome though. The kids were great.
Yeah.
The older brother there kind of bothered me a little bit, toward the beginning of the movie, but grew on me throughout. And I think the youngest there did awesome. I think he was great. They actually had some really great funny parts too, which was awesome to include. A lot of it caught me off guard.
Yeah, I think the main point of the older brother is to make you like the younger one, make you feel bad for him that he's not getting the attention he deserves, and secondly, it's to show you that there is a need for the Indominus Rex. That kids are not paying any attention to dinosaurs anymore. They could care less, So I think his role, while it is annoying, I think it's supposed to be. So I'm glad he was kind of a pain, to begin with. And one of the other characters that is similar in annoyingness is Hoskins. Now, I know you didn't really like him that much, but I kind of
not a fan of Hoskins.
I kind of can't stand his character, and I think you're not supposed to. He's pretty much despicable from the first moment you meet him. So maybe that's attributing to your disgust for him, but he's supposed to be not nice, not a good guy, and you can get that from the very instance where one of my favorite parts comically was. What did he say? He says well, you guys are still cashing your paychecks, and he just goes and he tries to hit him in the stomach to kind of taunt him and just play a joke, but the other guys are not falling for it, and he just kind of does it on his own, and he looks like an idiot, and it's just showing you that he is despicable. He's one of those guys that you just don't want to meet at work. So. Yeah.
I mean, I think there were certain scenes where I was just kind of like, can this guy just go away? Like, I don't really know if this is needed right here. Like, I understand his goal, but I got that feel a couple times from him. So I don't know if
Yeah, I think his character maybe wasn't enough set up.
Yeah.
Between him and Wu, you don't really know their goal or their, where they're coming from.
The connection between them.
Yeah, the connection between them, who they're talking to on the outside, because there's obviously a third party, and I'm not sure we know who it is. But yeah, there's definitely something more to him and Wu. That's something I think we're going to learn more about in the future.
One other thing that I was kind of disappointed in not seeing was the Barbasol can. I was really hoping to see the Barbasol can.
Barbasol, I don't know if they knew what they were getting into when they initially signed off to have that can in the first movie, but it's basically been every fan's dream to see that can, that original can, just uncovered from the mud and see what it's been doing. There's no reason to see what it's been doing, but I just kind of wanted to see it revealed. I don't know about you, but
I mean, that's the can that started it all.
Really
that's what started it all, and it's kind of like the the one thing that kind of got away from the first movie that's still kind of lost.
Yeah, they set it up so well. Let's just put it right here. Let's make it fall right here and put all the mud over it, and then just never see it again, I guess. But I really, really thought there would be something because of all the promotion they've had recently with the new cans.
I saw those
cans. Those things are amazing. I don't know if you have any or not, but
I don't have any, but I've been looking for them. I don't know if they're just flying off the shelves or what, but they look awesome.
I think they kind of are. I've searched a few times. I did get one of them, but I definitely need more. I just want to actually get a few of them so I can maybe use one or two and then save two. I think there's only 2 collectible ones, so I'd like to save them, put them off to the side, and admire them on my shelf because I like to collect pretty much anything I can from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they look pretty awesome. I got to try to get my hands on a few.
Actually, I might be able to help. I was talking with them on Twitter the other day, so hopefully we're looking. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up yet, but we're looking to try to maybe give some away. So I was talking with them a little while back, and they said they needed to give it some time. So maybe I'll get back in touch with them after this, now that you sparked the interest again. So
that would be awesome. I'm sure everyone would love that.
Oh yeah, I think we've got plenty of listeners now that would be trying to win whatever contest we put out for those cans. So let's give it our best effort to try and get those things out here.
Awesome.
One other thing I wanted to bring up, since you'd mentioned the cans, bringing it back to the old visitor center. When I pretty much found out that the visitor center would be in this movie, so many thoughts went through my head. I was thinking about every place in the visitor center, every scene that we saw from the first movie. And I don't know, I was thrilled to see it again, but maybe a little underwhelmed by the usage of it. And we got a decent amount of time at it. We have the 2 characters walking into the front door, which was pretty much unrecognizable. If you didn't remember the design that was on those doors, you may not have even realized it was the old visitor center. So
yeah, they kind of look like basement doors. From the outside.
It was just so covered in vines and leaves and trees or whatever that it was basically unrecognizable. And once I got inside, it was also covered in so much stuff that it was so impossible to recognize. There was a few touches here and there, like the Velociraptor on the glass. You could see the sign
banner
that fell at the end of the first movie, which was another heartbreaking moment when the kid just picked it up and lit it on fire. I was basically screaming, "No! How could you do that? That is so iconic. How could you burn that sign?" but it happened.
Later on, there was still some sign left over there, so I wasn't too upset, but I did have that same reaction.
Yeah,
like,
it was kind of heartbreaking there for a moment. So,
but it pick up anything else.
Yeah, it was though awesome again to see the Jeeps. And
it was
the specific Jeeps that we saw from the first movie, so that was amazing. And I pretty much think it's probably impossible for those Jeeps to actually run again after 20-something years just sitting idle, not moving.
It just needs a new battery.
It just needed a new battery, but where did a new battery come from? First off, it would have been a dead 20-something-year-old battery. I don't know.
No, it came from that Jeep that guy was dead in outside.
Oh, did it? You know what? I guess I completely missed that. I thought they just picked up a 20-something-year-old battery and they're like, this one works. But yeah, no, that didn't. I guess that didn't happen. So thank you for enlightening
But the night
me.
vision, the night vision goggles, those were good to see.
I guess I'm assuming that room is the armory that we got a glimpse of in the first movie when they were loading up on shotguns. I'm assuming that's the same room. There was the flashlights that they took off, those giant yellow flashlights, and the shotguns. So I'm assuming that was the same room. I really would have loved to have seen the theater room with the old Mr. DNA area. Would have loved to have seen that. There was something else, but I can't specifically remember. But yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed with the amount. Oh, the kitchen. Yeah, that was it. I know it wouldn't have happened, but I would have loved to have seen them walk through the kitchen, look into the freezer, and see raptor bones in there, because it probably would have decomposed. I don't think it would still be working freezer.
Or just picking up like one of those spoons that fell, like one of those silver spoons. That would have been great too.
Yeah, just something in the kitchen would have been
the
awesome.
The raptor was licking.
Yeah, I would have loved for them to just open that freezer and just see the bones sitting in there, or something like that. So I feel like while it was great, I'm so happy they went there, and I'm happy. Trust me, I'm happy with it. I'm perfectly fine and content with it. I just wish maybe they touched on a few more things. Just, I don't know, maybe it's just fan service. Maybe it's kind of not good for a brand new movie with a ton of new fans.
And that's what I was going to get at. It's easy for us to say, growing up with the first movies, and they really did give us quite a bit of things to really kind of reminisce.
Yeah.
If they literally just showed the first movie again, I would have been happy. But I'm glad they did kind of deviate from it, and they gave us a taste of a lot of different things that we were used to, and I think they did do a good job. And it's easy for us to kind of like reminisce on certain aspects that really kind of touched us, especially like, with the visitor center and like all these different areas that we're familiar with. But, I think they did do quite a bit to cater to the fans, of some of the earlier stuff.
Yeah. I feel like we've beaten this movie to death pretty much. But I feel like one character's not getting enough credit. That's Jake Johnson's character of Lowry. I thought his character was so funny.
Yeah, he was great.
He was... The one-liners he had were just so on the spot. They seemed like maybe he ad-libbed a lot of it, but he brought a little bit of comedical moments to moments that were filled with a lot of tension. So I thought he did a great job. Hopefully gets a little bit more credit, because I feel like a lot of people are dwelling on the supposed sexism and between Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. So they're not really giving him enough credit, but I thought he did an awesome job.
Yeah, no, I thought he was great. The funny thing about him is he's almost like the anti-Nedry. Like he he was almost the comic relief, but this time he's really
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
I loved his love for the original park, and he's like, yeah,
and
I know
even
people
Ian
died, but I got it on eBay, so it's a great shirt that I'm wearing. I'm not gonna wear it again. It was just today, but I thought he was hilarious throughout the entire
the only day.
Even though so much was going wrong, he brought awesome comical relief to the entire thing. So, we've definitely beat the movie to death. So why don't we head out?
I was going to touch on going to touch on one other thing.
Before heading out, let's touch on one more thing.
The one other thing that I actually noticed in this movie was the product placement.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was rampant in this movie. What did you think about that?
It was pretty out of control at times, and I specifically when they released those quick commercials for Mercedes, I actually tweeted at Colin Trevorrow and said, should I be afraid that Jurassic World is a commercial for Mercedes? And he responded. He just said a quick, no. That's all. So, I mean...
That's a good response.
It was a good response, but I still feel like... I mean, yes, it was less of a commercial than I expected for Mercedes, but there was definitely a few scenes where they, cradle around the cars, and you just see the emblem. And also, Chris Pratt is just sitting there fixing his motorcycle and just lifts up Coke and just drinks it. And the beginning, which this is a scene that I know you mentioned it for another scene earlier, but a scene that could take me out of the movie upon repeated viewing is Claire, when she first is talking about the Indominus Rex, she says, I believe, Verizon Wireless presents the Indominus Rex.
Yeah, that made me sick.
That took me out so bad. And the only thing that it regained itself was when Lowry made a joke about it, and he said, why don't we just call it a Pepsi-saurus or a Tostitodon or something like that. So I thought it was... I thought that righted the wrong. It just did. Because at least for the Verizon Wireless thing...
It was almost poking fun at corporations and what they do as, in these types of situations where they almost completely sell out. I know what they were going for, but it was almost so rampant that it just made me
Well, that's the problem, is because even the Verizon Wireless presents Indominus Rex. It was obviously, she was less enthused to be saying that, and he hated it, obviously, but it was flat out a product placement. They're trying to make fun of product placement, but they're also doing it square in your face, just right there, right out in the open. So even, making fun of it, saying Pepsi-saurus, that's product placement right there. So I don't, I think that's definitely one of the things that maybe I have to get over,
The one other one that really stood out to me, and this is, something that didn't really bother me at the time of, but looking back on it, I kind of think it's a bit cheesy, is the Jimmy Fallon cameo. It, at the time, it's like, oh, okay, this is Richard Kiley, I get it. The announcer, you're going to have
Richard Kiley was only his voice was only in a few sequences. I mean, so you didn't really get the full effect, but Jimmy Fallon is right out in the open, right there, pulling jokes, and it's fine. I think I'm okay with it, I think. But it definitely didn't need to be there. I don't think.
No.
There's no reason for it. And I don't know, is that a product placement? Do you think it's a flat out advertisement for the Tonight Show?
For the Tonight Show?
I don't know.
I absolutely
do
think so.
I don't know. I don't feel like it is, but what else could it be? You know, if we don't need it in the movie, why is it there? And what's its reason for being there?
Yeah, and the only other one that stood out was the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville on Isla Nublar.
Yeah. I'm okay
and
with that.
And there was a very distinct scene. He's running around with his margaritas. I mean, I don't know. That also kind of tugged. Kind of gave me
I'm okay with that one.
A bad taste.
Honestly, I don't even remember seeing Margaritaville in the movie. I knew it was there ahead of time, but as I was watching the movie, I don't remember seeing it. So maybe if I watch it again and again and again, I'll point it out more often. But it didn't bother me the first time around, and I'm actually okay with a Margaritaville sign there because of all the theme parks I've gone to. There's constantly restaurant signs right in your face, so I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
That one's a little less in your face, I guess, but the ones that really kind of stood out to me were the Verizon Wireless Presents and the Jimmy Fallon cameo. That was, looking back on it, made me a little, how am I going to perceive this every time I watch it now?
I think
but we'll see.
I think you'll just laugh at it. I think that's all it'll come down to, is just a funny little scene, because it's poking fun at the original in a way, with they're like, don't get too close to the Dilophosaurus, and then that thing explodes and it gets all over him. He's like, because it causes blindness and paralysis, and oh my god, and he passes out or something. So it's funny. I mean, it's kind of a funny sequence, so at least it has that much going for it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much my last piece.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of ragged on the movie for the past 10 minutes, so let's pick it back up and just say, I love the movie. You like the movie?
It was fantastic. It was great. I honestly don't think it could have gone much better. I mean, there were certain pieces I may have included, excluded, changed a bit, but overall, fantastic. Awesome. Exceeded all my expectations.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks for joining me here as we review Jurassic World. Let's close the doors to the visitor center. See ya.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the 4th episode of the Jurassic Park podcast. I want to give an extra thanks to Tim Lewisohn for joining us to discuss Savage Empire. I also want to thank Dan Karan for joining me to discuss Jurassic World. If you want to chat with us, you can find us on Twitter at Jurassic Park Pod. You can also email us at Gmail, JurassicParkPod@gmail.com. Hopefully, you take another weekend to enjoy Jurassic World. If you've been listening to the podcast since day one, or just started today, please do us a favor and head to iTunes and give us a review. We hope you review us kindly, but we won't blame you if you don't. Thanks, and enjoy.
Drop what you're doing and leave now.